In this video from the Review Network, we are taking a close look at PhD Writers, a new, dedicated PhD-focused service from Business Bliss, the same group behind well-known academic support brands like UK Essays and Law Teacher. PhD Writers is positioned specifically for doctoral candidates and advanced researchers who want high-level, specialist support with proposals, full theses, individual chapters, literature reviews, data analysis, and more. It is built as a specialist PhD service within the wider Business Bliss family, combining over 20 years of experience in academic support with a very focused doctoral-only offer. One of the first things that stands out when you land on phdwriters.com is the positioning. Expert PhD writing services with professionally written proposals, theses, and dissertations, clearly targeting candidates who want rigorous, carefully structured work. They highlight that their PhD-qualified writers deliver original research directly to you with guaranteed quality levels, and that they have been in this space since 2003, which is a long track record in what is still a relatively young industry. The site makes a big deal of that longevity and stability, and it is backed up by the broader Business Bliss network, which has helped more than 30,000 students over those 2 decades. The service is built for an international audience, not just the UK. Yes, the brand leans into UK academic standards and British heritage, but the client base is clearly global. The messaging talks to PhD candidates wherever they are studying, whether that is the UK, Europe, North America, the Middle East, Asia, or elsewhere. The headquarters is in the United Arab Emirates under Business Bliss Consultants FZE, with contact details including a UK telephone number and a British-based support team. That combination is quite interesting for busy professionals around the world. You are getting a service structured around UK academic rigor, but you are not locked into a UK-only mindset. It is designed for international clients, including working professionals doing professional doctorates, part-time PhDs, or distance learning doctorates who are trying to balance full-time jobs, families, and research at the same time. If we look at the About section, PhD Writers presents itself as the original UK academic writing service dedicated to excellence since 2003, founded in Nottingham by barrister Barclay Littlewood. The founder is also behind UK Essays and Law Teacher, and now this more specialist PhD brand under the Business Bliss umbrella. The company emphasizes core values like honesty, respect, and excellence, and repeatedly reinforces that every piece of work is tailored, plagiarism-free, and confidential. They are very explicit that work is never resold or republished, which is crucial for doctoral-level clients who are rightly concerned about originality and reputation. For a busy professional or an international student working at the highest academic level, that messaging is extremely important. You are not looking for generic content. You are looking for bespoke, research-aligned support that protects your academic integrity when used correctly as a model or reference. The service range is one of the strongest aspects of PhD writers. Rather than just offering a generic dissertation writing product, they break down doctoral work into specific components. On the services page, you will see PhD proposal writing, full or chapter writing, proofreading and editing, literature review support, methodology design, data analysis, presentation and viva preparation, journal article writing, and referencing and citation support. That list is basically a map of the entire PhD lifecycle. If you are at the early stage, you might need a proposal that clearly articulates your research question and methodology. If you are midway through, you might need help with a complex methodology chapter, or with organizing a large, messy literature review. If you are near the end, you might need intensive editing, polishing, and journal article conversion so your thesis can be turned into publishable papers. PhD Writers presents itself as able to plug into any of those stages, with the depth to handle both humanities and social science projects, and more technical, quantitative work using tools like SPSS or NVivo. For busy professionals, that modular approach is highly practical. Imagine you are a full-time doctor doing a professional doctorate, or a corporate executive working on a part-time PhD in management, or an engineer doing applied research while working in industry. You might not need someone to do your PhD for you, but you may very much want a PhD-level writer to help structure a tough chapter, tighten your argument, or perform a rigorous edit that brings your writing up to the level your ideas deserve. PhD Writers explicitly offers that kind of targeted support, where you can commission just the parts you genuinely need help with, and then integrate that into your own broader project. Used correctly, that is a time-saving and stress-reducing tool rather than a shortcut. The guarantees page is clearly aimed at doctoral candidates who are naturally risk-averse and wary of low-quality providers. PhD Writers talks about guarantees you can trust, designed specifically around PhD-level research. They stress reliability, security, and quality, and describe themselves as trusted by PhD candidates since 2003. The guarantees typically cover originality, plagiarism-free and AI-free content, confidentiality of your identity and data, on-time delivery, and quality standards with some form of recourse if those standards are not met. For someone outsourcing any part of their doctoral journey, these guarantees are vital. At this level, you are not just buying a piece of writing. You are buying risk reduction. Less chance of missed deadlines, less chance of structural flaws that could derail your viva, and less chance of embarrassing issues like plagiarism or poorly cited sources. Another strong signal is the consistent human, non-automation emphasis. Their service pages highlight that chapters are custom-written, free of plagiarism, and free of AI-generated content, with detailed reports available for peace of mind. That is particularly relevant in 2025, when many low-cost providers are simply running prompts through generic AI tools and handing that back as original research, which is both academically risky and easy for universities to detect. PhD Writers positions itself on the opposite side of that line. Human, PhD-qualified writers, properly supervised, producing bespoke texts that are intended to be used as exemplars and learning tools. If you are a professional who values your reputation and understands the risks around AI detection and academic misconduct, that positioning is likely to be very attractive. The blog and resource sections add another layer of credibility. Rather than just selling services, PhD Writers publishes detailed guides on preparing for your first year of a PhD, how to write a research proposal, funding and scholarship advice, literature reviews, and broader questions like whether a PhD is worth it. These are substantial, practical articles written in an academic, citation-backed style, reflecting real knowledge of the doctoral journey rather than marketing fluff. Combined with their presence in related blogs and discussions, this suggests a team that is actively engaged with PhD culture and not just pushing sales copy. For a professional or international client, these resources can be a way to check whether the tone and academic depth match what you need before you ever place an order. It is also important to talk about how a service like this should be used. PhD Writers is very clear that their work is tailored and unique, and that students must use it correctly. The intent is that you receive a model chapter, a sample proposal, a polished literature review structure, or a data analysis walkthrough that you then learn from, adapt, and build on in your own voice. When used that way, this kind of support can be legitimate. For example, one of their associated brands talks about every PhD candidate they have worked with successfully completing their viva, precisely because the students understand and can defend the work. The underlying expectation is that you remain the researcher, the author, and the person responsible for the intellectual content, with PhD Writers acting as a high-level support team rather than a substitute. From the perspective of a busy international professional, there are a few key use cases where PhD Writers looks particularly strong. First, time compression. If you are juggling a demanding job and family responsibilities, having a PhD-qualified writer produce a clean, correctly structured draft of a chapter can save you weeks of struggling with structure and formatting, letting you focus on refining the ideas and checking the content against your data. Second, confidence at critical milestones. A professionally edited and structured thesis draft can massively reduce anxiety going into your viva or final submission. Third, specialist technical support. If you are not confident with advanced statistical tools or the conventions of journal article writing, having expert support for data analysis and journal preparation can mean the difference between a stalled project and a publishable output. PhD Writers has dedicated services for each of these pressure points. The international angle is worth underlining again. Although the branding draws on the prestige of UK academic standards and the founder's British legal background, the contact details, Business Bliss corporate structure, and global online approach make it clear that this is not just for UK-based students. Whether you are studying in the UK, Europe, North America, the Gulf, Asia, or elsewhere, you can access British-based support, with writers from a range of backgrounds and subject areas, while still using the service within your own institution's rules. The key is to treat what you receive as a learning tool, a high-quality example that shows you what an excellent chapter, proposal, or article looks like in your field. In summary, PhD Writers is a specialist PhD brand within the Business Bliss group, aimed squarely at doctoral candidates and busy professionals worldwide who want premium, doctoral-level support rather than generic essay help. It offers a full suite of services across the entire PhD lifecycle, backed by over 20 years of experience, strong guarantees around originality, confidentiality, and quality, and a clear emphasis on British academic standards with an international client base and writer pool. Used properly, As a source of expert models, structure, and technical guidance, it has the potential to reduce stress, save time, and significantly raise the standard of your written work, while leaving you firmly in control as the researcher and author of your PhD.